We have so much going on up and down the league. I thought we'd start with giving our own predictions, gents. 5 predictions for Championship Sunday, just so we can wrap up what's going on around the league. Because as we said, it's crazy. The top, the bottom, in between. There's a lot going down to the wire. So let's make some predictions for how things are going to play out on the final day. Nick, take it away, mate. I'm going to go to you first. What is your big prediction for the final day of the Premier League season?
All right, I think this is absolutely bonkers, but it's just a feeling. We've all been talking about who's gonna pick up the most assists. Is it going to be Mo Salah? Is it going to be Trent Alexander-Arnold? I am predicting a 3 or 4 assist day from Mason Mount to leave the Liverpool Stars just scratching their hair as they walk off the field. That's my bold prediction for this weekend.
I mean, Chelsea play Watford, so I feel like there's a pretty good chance of that happening because talking about being on their vacation, Andy, Watford got the flip-flops on and pina coladas out a long time ago, but for a very bad reason. They've been relegated for a long time. I could see that happening, Nick, and I didn't actually... that surprised me. I mean, even a few weeks ago, we were talking about Harry Kane maybe coming in for the Golden Boot as well, but I think he's left that, even for his standards, a little bit too late. And there is some talk as well, Andy, about his illness situation. He may not make the final game of the season away at Norwich, which obviously Spurs, if they win, they're in the Champions League. If they draw, they're in the Champions League as well, barring a 15-goal or better swing in Arsenal's favour. So, Andy, what's your big prediction for the final day of the season?
No other club could make it this difficult, could make it this funny and difficult, down the stretch the way that Spurs can do it. I'll keep my prediction right there in that top 4 race. I think Spurs will get over the line. I think they're going to finish level on points, though. It just feels like, because at every single turn, every step of this race between these two, every time we think, okay, we think we know what's going on now. We think we've got a favorite here. We think we've got a team that's really coming into their own and taking control of this race. They say, nope. And we just start all over and we do it again. And so I think there will be a smaller element of that maybe on Championship Sunday. Spurs drop a couple points away to Norwich City somehow. Maybe it's Harry Kane not being available and just unable to keep the ball. Whatever it is, I think they find one another again in the table, level on points, but it's obviously going to be Spurs going through into the Champions League on goal difference.
Wow, that's a prediction. So you don't think they'll actually win on Championship Sunday?
I think it's going to be really, really nervy, and they've not had a pressure situation really this season, and so I don't think we've seen this team under Conte with real pressure on them. I think you could say the derby had some pressure to it, but it was very much, we have to win to stay alive, and that's a lot different than having the expectation. I think we saw that come out of Arsenal the last couple of games where, they have gone and lost with the pressure and the expectation of, don't blow this, don't lose this lead that we've got, and obviously you can see what they've done, and so I just think anytime you get down to the business end of the season and you have something not just to play for, but to lose because it is in your hand, I just think it's a little bit different.
Yeah, different kind of pressure for sure. It's, it just seems like a totally different scenario where you already have it in your grasp and you already can hear the Champions League music distantly as you're playing against Norwich, but then you have to get the job done. And even though Norwich have nothing to play for other than what they could finish second from bottom rather than bottom, and they've got pride to play for. I think they're going to win. I honestly think they're going to get over the line pretty easily, Andy, but you know better than me as a Tottenham fan, over the years, they have put you through the ringer a lot. Nick and I have seen it many, many times. There is something, I think, in this crazy season, up and down the league on the final day, where I think we're going to see things made a lot more difficult when we think the situation is very cut and dry and very straightforward, which takes me on to my prediction. I actually think that the title battle is going to go all the way down to the final 5 minutes of the season. It's going to be up in the air. I can see Man City and Villa drawing late on at the Etihad and then needing more heroics from
Aguero.
Grealish. Who was that? Sorry?
Aguero.
Yeah. Well, we can bring him back. But I mean, just seeing those scenes, that 10-year anniversary of that incredible moment, just made me realize it's almost in Man City's DNA as a club. When you speak to City's fans over the years, they make what are very straightforward situations very, very difficult for themselves. We saw it against Real Madrid in the Champions League. Even when I was at West Ham last week, when they were 2-0 down and then rallied back in the second half to go 2-2 and then missed the late penalty kick, which could have made that life a lot easier for them on Championship Sunday. for as good as they are, there is something in the DNA as a club where they just put their fans, again, through the ringer in these kind of situations. Yes, they have won it comfortably in other years, but it just seems like they were so far ahead. It was an 11-point gap over Liverpool. I know had games in hand, but to only be 1 point now in the lead, again, it's kind of similar to Tottenham. It's okay, don't mess this up now. Don't lose. It's a different kind of pressure for Man City. And I'm going to be at the Etihad Stadium. I'm really intrigued to see what that atmosphere is like. And I feel like they usually do it. They're very good at scoring early goals. But if they do not score an early goal against Aston Villa, then that place is going to be full of tension because expectation will be in the air. You'll have the Villa fans behind the goal just goading them if they can hang in and be level after 60 minutes or longer. And of course, you have the Steven Gerrard and the Felipe Coutinho factor as well, that even Gerrard rested Ings and Coutinho in midweek just to make sure they were extra sharp for this final day of the season. So, that's my big prediction. Let's come up with another 2, then that's 3 between us now. Nick, any others you want to hit? I'm thinking specifically about the relegation scrap. Obviously, it's down to Burnley and Leeds now for that final relegation spot. What are you thinking? Any kind of predictions for the final day as Leeds take on Brentford and Burnley have your beloved Newcastle?
Yeah, listen, I don't know that this Newcastle team, they're fighting for jobs in a team that's going to invest a lot this summer. So my prediction is it's going to come down to Leeds and Brighton because I think Newcastle will beat Burnley. They've had their number quite a bit over the years, and I know there will be desperation you can't mimic, but I do think with the players Newcastle has back now, Wilson, Trippier, St. Maximin obviously still playing at a decent level. I think it will come down to the Leeds game. I'd also throw out there, just as you make the point about Man City and Liverpool, that Liverpool has 89 points right now, which would have won the league last year by 3 points. So it goes to show you what sort of season we've been going through and why Liverpool fans are maybe understandably so defensive about being one of the teams of all time, but not being the team of its generation.
I know, because if City pull it off and get over the line as we probably all expect them to do, then that's 4 titles in the last 5 years, that's dynasty territory, isn't it? So really unfortunate timing for Liverpool to be as good, but they have won a few trophies this season and they are up for the Champions League. So even if they just miss out on the final day, still an incredible team and an incredible campaign they've had. Andy, final prediction for us, 5th and final. What are you going for, mate?
I'm going to save the final prediction for you, Joe, and I'll just chime in on the relegation bit there. I think I'm going to finally accept that Leeds might go. We've been kind of fighting against the idea of it because we want to see Jesse Marsch, the American, have a transfer window, a full season in the Premier League and everything. But I think Brentford have proven down the stretch that they don't care that it's the end of the season. They're out to get as many points as they can. They can finish in the top half. And you mentioned in the Open this week, Joe, the amount of money, the prize money that's available based on where you finish in the Premier League. At the start of this week, Brentford could have finished as high as 9th. They could have finished as low as 14th. The difference in those 2 spots is $16 million. That's a half of a player for some clubs. That's like 3 good players to be sold on for $40 million each for Brentford. And so those resources and that money, I don't think it drives the players, but I think the club has an understanding that, hey, the season is not over until it's over, and they just operate in a slightly different way. So I think they're going to make it very difficult on Leeds this weekend. I think Burnley will find it very difficult with Newcastle as well, and they probably finish the same points that they're on right now, just with slightly lower goal differences for both of them. And so I hope I'm wrong. I really, really hope I'm wrong, but I do think it's going to be Leeds after Everton were able to pull themselves out, clinch their safety the way that they did on Thursday. It seems like the writing might be on the wall just a little bit.
That was crazy, by the way. Like Andy and I were both working on the website and just 2-0 down going into the second half. Yeah. Just Everton, what a comeback. Incredible scenes. Obviously some unsavory scenes as well, Patrick Vieira and what happened there. But the jubilation generally at Goodison Park, it just really hit home that, yes, they've been ridiculed by Liverpool fans and a lot of other fans. Oh, well done for staying in the Premier League. You've spent X amount of money and you've only just stayed up. But it's not all about the glory of winning trophies in the Champions League. It is about staying in the Premier League and then trying to build on that next season and get some positive momentum. So, yeah, incredible scenes there. I'm going to go for my 5th and final prediction for Championship Sunday. I'm going to go for Heung-min Son to win the Golden Boot because I think there's about Mohamed Salah actually playing for Liverpool, given his injury status, and especially with Kane being sick as well and potentially not playing against Norwich. Son's been in great form in recent weeks, and you see just how upset he was to come off in the North London derby after, he'd already scored and then he wanted to score more. I just think that he is on a tear right now, and I can honestly see him scoring 2 or 3 away at Norwich and getting the golden boot. And I think that would be a great accolade for him to get this season. And certainly he's been pushing towards it, kind of flown under the radar a little bit, right? I feel like we haven't spoken that much about him this season, and he's had an incredible season. He's had incredible seasons galore since he's been at Tottenham, but I'd argue that as much as Harry Kane has been the creator, Son's goals have obviously driven this Tottenham team to the brink of Champions League action. And that's my fifth and final big prediction for this weekend, Jen. So we'll bookmark this page and see how right we were, but I'm assuming we're going to go 5 for 5 and we'll be totally correct on all of those predictions. But head over to Pro Soccer Talk at NBCSports.com for all the latest news on Championship Sunday. We'll have previews on all 10 games. They all kick off at 11 a.m. Eastern time across the NBC Sports and NBC network of channels. Yeah, it's going to be a crazy end to the season. And if those predictions are anything to go by, then it will be even crazier than you expect it to be.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch highlights all season long, and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend at 7 a.m. Eastern. And for even more content, head over to Peacock, where we've got live games, original series, and a dedicated round-the-clock Premier League channel featuring studio shows, classic matches, and much more.